How's it going, everyone? Eric here at Cathalify. It's been a minute since I've been on here, but we've got some important things to go over. So I'm really excited to jump back on here today. Hey, everybody, we're going to get started here in just a moment. I want to give folks a chance to jump on, as well as the man himself, Anthony D'Ambrosio. I'm very excited to sit down with him just for a few minutes today to talk about the upcoming film, Triumph of the Heart. This is a very, very important to me project, and I'll jump into that in just a second to explain to you why. It's something that needs to be told. It needs to be spread. Not only Saint Maximilian Kolbe's story, but the story behind the film, the story that we get to tell to Hollywood as Catholics who want to see a change, see ourselves move the needle. We live in a really exciting time that we get to do things like this, and this is very much in the spirit of what we do at Cathalify. We're very much a crowdfunded movement. We're very grateful and thankful for all of you guys, especially those joining that have supported us over the years in our crowdfunding endeavors to get more Catholic content, Catholic apps, Catholic media, at high quality Catholic media into the world, to send a message to the world, to send a message to a broken world that frankly has been lost long enough that they hunger for more. And I don't think there's any better time than now in the church to re-emphasize the truth and the beauty and the goodness of Catholicism as the antidote to that ache that I think we as a culture feel at large, particularly in the secular sense. And so it's just a really key opportunity to spread the word on movements like this, to get behind them, to do what we can to support them. And that's exactly what we're here to do today. I'm going to bring on, let's see, this looks like we've got Anthony here. Heard from him. If you haven't already heard about this project, it's something that you're gonna want to know more about. Hopefully, you might have seen my newsletter announcement, and that brought you here today. We're going to be answering all of your questions and get straight to the heart of it here. With there he is. Hey, Anthony, how are you
Hey
doing this
there.
morning, brother? This
I'm doing
afternoon.
good.
Depends
I'm
on where
sorry. I meant
you're
to
hailing
join with
from.
the Triumph of the Heart account, but I didn't realize I was on my personal one. So, here we are.
All good, brother. All
Yeah.
good. It looked familiar enough. When
Yeah.
I saw your username, I said it's got to be him. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
take you
Here
any
I
way
am.
we can get you.
That's it's good to be had. So, how's life?
That's awesome, man. We're doing what we can over here at Catholified. We've been underground working on a lot of exciting stuff. We've been working on um, Vineyard, our project, social media alternative. We've been working with Exodus 90, and we're excited to unveil some of that before the end of the year here. But just a really, really beautiful things going on in our neck of the woods. But we're here. We're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about what you've got going on in your neck of the woods. It sounds like this is just one of those projects I was leading into before you jumped on. That it's something that if you haven't already heard of it, you need to know about it. It's something that I would say is it's important in three unique ways. I think. First of all, there's there's no affiliation. I love my brother Anthony. I love what he's doing. This is just one of those things that needs to get out there. And so we're just here to help however we can spread the word. But the three ways I would say this most important is Maximilian Kolbe's story. It in and of itself is important. This is an incredibly important story to tell in whatever way we can spread this. So obviously there's that. But secondly, I really think it's an important story behind the making of the film, your story, Anthony, and the trials that brought you into this and got you to where you are today here with Triumph of the Heart. And lastly, I think the most important of them all, perhaps, is the story we get to tell as we send a message to the industry, to Hollywood, to the box office, to move the needle in such a sort of monumental way through the power of crowdfunding, spreading the word. So it's all of these are just really important, and I'd really like to just dive into that with you. But
Before we
we'll
do
just
that, really quick, we just
yeah,
had
yeah, yeah.
Radek Pazura, who's one of the actors, one of the Polish actors in the movie, who just joined the live stream, which I think is awesome. So just wanted to
Well,
shout out,
welcome,
hey
brother.
Radek. He's
We're
the
so glad you're
he
here.
plays a very evil SS guard, but he's actually a really awesome Catholic man. So Radek, thanks for joining us.
Well, fantastic, Radix. So glad you're here. This is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Sorry,
So
continue.
no, no, no. This is great. This is exactly why we're doing this. But really, I just want to open it up to you, Anthony, to start off to anyone who maybe hasn't heard of the film yet. I was just talking to a good friend of mine who's a Catholic priest, and he actually hadn't heard of it yet. So I mean, for as many people who have heard of it, there's probably just as many who haven't. So why don't you just give us the quick overview of what this film is, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, so it's basically like the Passion of the Christ, but in Auschwitz. It's the story of Saint Maximilian Kolbe's passion, the last 15 days of his life, as he volunteered to join 9 other men in a starvation bunker in Auschwitz and fought to forge a brotherhood of hope, a rebellion of hope in the darkest place on earth. It's a harrowing and beautiful journey, but one that will leave people with hope, with joy, with a thirst for heaven, and with a thirst for holiness. And it's just been amazing to see how it's being received.
That's beautiful. That's certainly I mean the I've only still just seen the trailer so far, and just the way that moves you, it speaks to the breadth and the depth of what you've put together here. It's certainly going to be intense. Make no mistake about that. And rightly so. I mean, it's not one to be taken lightly what he went through. Um, and I just really think the suffering he endured, and the message that gives us today is really an important one, and it's a personal one to you, Anthony. Is that correct?
That's
If you
right.
don't mind, to share a little bit more about your personal story that brought you to where you are, and putting this film together.
Yeah, so I grew up Catholic. I grew up really inside of the church, and it wasn't until my young adult life as a young man where I really experienced profound suffering for the first time. I had I contracted an illness that was very difficult to diagnose, and the difficulty with that diagnosis was it drew on for many years without having any sort of solution, any sort of like medication or anything that would help. And the most debilitating symptom of that illness was chronic insomnia. Waking up in the middle of the night after only sleeping for 20 minutes or 2 hours, and not being able to get back to sleep. And so it caused over time this chronic and extreme sleep deprivation that is really hard to kind of articulate, like the suffering that causes. But it was maddening, and it caused me to lose the woman that I'd fallen in love with and had been chasing for many years, and who was finally ready to get married to me. And it made me kind of lose my dreams for the career that I thought that I was going to have. And I was left with really the shambles of a very like isolated and small life. And in that time, I really was asking the question, why live? Why continue to live if I don't have solutions, and if this is how it is for the rest of my life, is that a life that's worth living? And while I was in this space, one of the few jobs that I could do was I started doing some freelance writing work, and a client that was Catholic asked me to do a biography for St. Maximilian Kolbe. They were dedicating their business to Kolbe, and had that on there as like a pro-life clinic, and they had a little article about him on their website. And so I had to do a little bit of research, and I had always known quite a bit about Kolbe, just at least the things that are generally swimming around in the the Catholic ether.
Sure.
He was a priest who was a big media guy. He had a radio show, and was entrepreneurial, and ultimately traded his life to save another lives men in Auschwitz. Um, And but it was this detail about what happened after that really shocked me. And it was that I knew that he had been injected, that somehow he was executed by the Nazis because he stayed alive too long and he just wouldn't die. But what I didn't know is that there were three other men from his cell that also were executed with him. And that just immediately sort of like, blew up my brain because I realized that, um, given my vantage point as someone who's going through tremendous suffering, that there had to have been a miracle of hope that and ministry that happened inside of the cell for Kolbe to bring these other men along with him. It wasn't just that Kolbe was a saint and sainted all the way to the end, as saints do, but he somehow brought these other men who were just normal, everyday people who had all the same sort of complexity of their lives that I did before their lives were sort of snapped shut and brutally taken away from them. They had been brought by Colby to the doorway of heaven, like with him. And that just immediately told me that there was something that I needed to learn, that I needed to like kind of reflect on from the story. And I became rather obsessed with it and would wake up and in my suffering would sort of find myself um, meditating on being inside of the cell with Colby, and it felt like he was sort of entering into my cell, the way that saints can sort of haunt you, and beginning to minister to me and help me to find my way out of the hole that I was in.
That's incredible. Gosh, it's so powerful that um, that you were almost permitted to go through such suffering as a means of finding your way here, perhaps providentially. And you take that very seriously. If I'm not mistaken, you are in the film as one of the inmates. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Total
that was
immersion, right?
total immersion. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think is really amazing about film is that the process of making it is much more immersive than the process of making a play, right? Like, when you're making a film, you're sort of meditating on that for months and months and months and months. Um, every day entering into the story in a different way on set. And one of the things that I did to sort of help the other men know that I was with them, if this is a story about Colby being kind of in the suffering and in the cell with these other men, that I, as the director, needed to be in it with them. So all the actors had to starve themselves and lose weight and go on like starvation diets, literally. They had to wear these super uncomfortable, dirty canvas pajama type things that were the sort of Auschwitz prisoner uniform, and lay on a cold, hard floor in a unconditioned cell in Poland, and they had to shave their heads, which is a very hard thing for an actor to do because that's like a part of their look. It's like actually part of their profession. So it required a lot, and it was important for me to like do all of that with him. And so it ended up being kind of providential and not planned, but really important that I ended up being in the movie with them as one of the prisoners as well. So, yeah.
Well, and I hats off to you. I think it would be you make it sound like it's obvious that that's what a director ought to do, but I know that's not always the case. But I do know that when that has been the case, it really takes film to the next level in terms of the level of heart and commitment goes to the very source, and everything permeates from that. The actors feel that they appreciate it, and they're able to enter into it all the more. I can only imagine, and it sounds like there was really something powerful and special and anointed here in the making of this.
Yeah, well, I think in some ways, Colby, what he did for me was that he led me into my own suffering to like face it directly, um, to accept it, and in his presence and his tender kind of compassion, um, he was telling me that it was going to be okay. And I think that my job as the director was a really tough one because I had to lead all of these people into that place of suffering. Like I had to take them by the hand and like walk them into Auschwitz. And a movie is not real unless the experiences of the emotions that the actors are having are actually real emotions. And that means that to sort of go to that level of depth, we had to create an environment that was like safe enough for people to get that vulnerable, to like plumb the depths of their own suffering and bring them out
Mm,
into kind of the moments of the scenes um, that we were playing out. And so yeah, the sort of experience of the set was very profound, and it was very much like a moving meditation, like a Lectio Divina or a collective retreat in which all of these people were sort of going through their own journey into the heart of darkness and then letting God enter into that space and move in their hearts.
it's incredible. It's just incredible. And I think there's something so important about this level of depth in storytelling, and particularly in the Catholic media space. I think we get a bad rap. I think we've not maybe had the best track record of available, content, feature films. And I think it was an evolution. I look at the sort of like captured piety that you might see in a classic painting, and I think that might have been the intent or the strategy perhaps in earlier Catholic representations of the Passion, or some, to sort of create these sort of stoic images that we've seen in paintings, and maybe just sort of move them along the screen, but keep them in this sort of like holy prayer card piety that almost feels untouchable. And so I think they had their place for their time, but I think certainly where we are today, high production value in Hollywood and all of this, that we need really strong and vulnerable storytelling, exactly like what you've put together here with Triumph of the Heart. And I think it goes into my next point, is that we really have to. Um, we have an opportunity here to tell this story in particular, by sharing it, by filling the theaters, so to speak. And in a lot of ways, it's not unlike the kind of disruption that The Chosen and Angel Studios has been able to sort of do, and like infiltrate theaters. And that sends a message to Hollywood. But I think we have to go further still, and like you said, plumbing the depths of our true Catholicism, the unwavering Catholicism, that's not, that will be bold enough to go deep and vulnerable and gritty, even like the Passion of the Christ, like the Passion of Saint Maximilian Kolbe. And I think it's a really crucial time to send, collectively, as a church, a strong Catholic, particularly Catholic message to Hollywood, and this opportunity that we have here, right? So, I mean, if you would, will you tell us more about sort of how the film is positioned? I know opening weekend is September 12th, but it's unique. It's not just, go to your Fandango and buy a ticket, right? Like, tell us more about how this works and how we can play an active role in it, so we can send a message together.
Yeah, so one thing that we knew was that the theater system and sort of the whole process for how movies get delivered is very archaic, and it's not just sort of weighted against faith-based stuff. Like it really in general is broken because it was built with a whole sort of technology and process that's very old and specifically made for big studio relationships, not for the sort of constellation of um, different audiences that are out there that want different types of content, right? Like it's only built for, we're going to make a Marvel movie that every single person in the U.S. is going to watch, and it struggles to sort of be able to like tear down to something that is um, is smaller, perhaps. And so what we experience is, as we're going for to Hollywood to say, hey, we want theaters. There's people that want to see this movie. There's two things that they sort of immediately say. One is, we know that the faith-based world shows up for movies. Actually, it's a really big new audience that we want to get involved with. But the only other examples of things that we see working right now are like your Hallmark, a high school football, star that becomes Christian and marries the cheerleader kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that stuff is bad. but what I'm saying is that there's really not like a an industry that's been or an ecosystem that sort of is created that allows for these sorts of movies to get made. Like what Hollywood has seen is a movie like Cabrini that cost $40 million to make, that lost that maybe made about 20 million in the box office, which for their investors means about $5 million. So that means that they lost like $25 million, $30 million, somewhere in there. So you're in a big, yeah, $35 million even, depending on how much they made in streaming, right? So the point is, like, they've seen these sort of Catholic efforts flop time and time and time and time again, and so they don't want to get behind it. And even Catholics and Catholic investors have been burnt, right? Like all of us are pretty salty because we've been sold on going to the movies to support things that perhaps we were like wanted to vomit when we were watching, and so or just felt like disappointed by, and all of that means that the headwinds for distributing a movie and getting one done are very, very intense, and it's frankly a miracle. Like every step of the way for our film has required miracles to happen to make it go through, and so far all of those have been delivered. But the last miracle of all is that after pitching the theaters and really getting kind of uh, not necessarily turned down, but given a slow roll. We're like, they were basically like, hey, here, you can fly standby on that weekend. We're like, you know what we're going to do? Money talks. And if we can't like just put the screens on online, we're going to build our own crowdfunding platform where people can say, hey, I want the movie to come to my city. I'm going to put down $80, $89 to buy a few tickets. Um, I'm going to pick a theater, pick a time, and I'm just going to get a web page that has the ability for me to rally my community around that, to sell tickets, to get contributions, to raise funds, to fill up a theater. And once we have a theater's worth of people and tickets, we will go to the theaters with the money in hand and say, uh, I know you guys didn't think that we could do this, but here you go. Here's the money. Give us the screen. And it's sort of like giving Hollywood a black eye a little bit because it's turned out to be working. Right now, we have 400 screenings that are happening around the U.S., campaigns that are going. We've raised about, I think, something like $500,000, so $500,000 in ticket sales in the course of 2 weeks, and it's just continuing to pick up steam. So right now, it's kind of like it's not just to stick it to Hollywood, but it's like a victory lap of the Catholic, like Catholic world being like, we told you, and we're going to show up for this, which is really amazing. I think at first when we put it out there, like we were really sweating. We're like, if this doesn't work, it's going to be the biggest, like, the biggest embarrassing thing. But yeah, so far, like the Catholic world has just kind of taken it by storm, and our distributor is just like, slow down, like I don't have enough time to book all of these theaters. We have to like go and get another distributor to help us with all the bookings. So it feels a little bit like Peter being like, hey, we've got too much fish. Our boat's gonna sink. Like we need another boat to bring all this in. So
The
yeah, if people want to get
superabundance of
involved,
grace.
the best thing, but what they really need to do is like not wait. Everybody wants to wait to buy their tickets because that's just how we normally buy tickets to movies. But that won't work for this movie. You have to buy it now by attaching yourself to one of these crowdfunding screenings. And it's very possible that we will get more screenings after this, but we are not guaranteed that at all. So if you really want to see it in theaters, which I guarantee you will, you will want it will be like watching The Passion of the Christ. Everybody who kind of remembers watching that in community, there's something about having a group there to process it with, to sort of like enter into the mystery with. It's way more powerful and way more immersive. This is definitely a movie you don't want to see alone. You want to see in a group. And so, yeah, make sure that you get that ticket. If there's not a screening in your area, go ahead and start one. You still have time. They're selling out within a couple days. So don't be afraid to sort of put the banner out there and wave the flag.
Absolutely, brother. And I mean that sense of ownership too. I mean, it instead of just sort of waiting until you might be able to stream this from your couch, it's a totally different endeavor here when you get skin in the game, so to speak. I mean, investment wise, it's no different than just going to the movies, but what we're making possible through booking these tickets in advance is sending a message, perhaps booking a theater. Because if I'm not mistaken, if a theater doesn't get reach its sort of minimum funding threshold, you won't be able to book it. So there's,
Yeah,
I see on the website triumphoftheheart.com, is that correct?
yeah.
That there's the map, and it's blowing up, but a lot of these are not quite fully funded. And what happens to those if they don't get funded by when? We've got just a matter of days now.
Yeah, so this Friday is the last day of the campaign. We don't have time to book anything else after that. Um, so Friday is the last day, and if they don't succeed, then they'll all get sort of the ability to get reimbursed, or to pay it forward, and get a link to watch it after the theatrical release is done. So
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then what about those that I do like here in Birmingham, we did get ours funded, and then some of the locals had reached out and said, because the Catholic community is buzzing about it here, man. I mean, it's like people can't wait.
mhm.
And some said, well, what it says sold out now. Now what do I do? So what happens then?
Yeah, I mean, if more people want to go, people should just start another screening while there's time. Otherwise, it is possible. Like, we're going to try to get as many seats as possible in the theaters that we book. And once we do that, it will be able to open up more seats for people to buy on these pages. But that won't be announced until like the week of the week of the release.
Yeah, so at the very least, just start another one. Make the contribution that can be rolled over into a digital screening anyway, or paid forward to let someone else be able to go. Don't let sold out be a reason not to go contribute somewhere. You can go contribute at a neighboring city to help make that one get funded. It sounds like. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, no, that's right. That's
Find
right
one
for
that's
sure.
almost funded and go top it off.
Right, exactly. I mean,
So
there
that
are
that
people that
area
are kind
can
of
see
going
it.
around. I mean, this is sort of a thing that we've also seen, is that there are plenty of people out there who have a little bit more kind of to give, and who um, who have been tapped before for like buyouts. And instead of doing buyouts, they're just going around and dropping, finishing people's campaigns out, and just being
Yeah.
like, hey, you've got 30 extra tickets or whatever.
Let's turn that
Which has
map
been really
green.
cool to watch that happen. Yeah, let's turn these
There's the
dots
gray
green.
markers and then the green markers when they're funded. Come on, guys, let's go make that map green.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, brother. So okay, so what happens opening weekend? There does it become, you said there's a chance it sort of becomes like there are extra seats, and maybe you can just go to your local theater and it's on one of the screens and you buy it like you normally buy tickets. There's a
Yeah, so
chance. Don't bank on that, but there's a chance.
yeah, I mean, basically the idea is that if we show enough demand, the theaters will start opening up more screens to us.
If we
Especially
can
as
show
this,
that waterfall effect,
right.
yeah, we've got to show up and prove it, you know,
And that's
that
just one
there's
of those
demand.
things that we haven't done very well as a church before, is that like the Protestants really understand this. Like, the way the industry works is the first 2 days of a movie's life determine the rest of its life. Like, box office on Friday and Saturday on opening weekend determine everything. Every deal that you get downstream, every investor that you get to help sort of prop it up, every other theater that opens up, all of it happens based on the numbers that you do there. And so, what we tend to do though is we tend to wait to see if it's worth going to. We want to really make sure that, before we support something, which is, I think, a perfectly Catholic instinct, right? Like, we want the tradition to sort of do its work before we're like willing to trust a message, which makes total sense. And I don't knock it at all. I'm Catholic. I've got that. But the industry doesn't allow for that kind of time. Like, we all have to show up on the first 2 days, or our movie that we're like, we see this sort of as like an it's like a ballistic missile that we're like launching out. We get to sort of like blow up the world for the kingdom with this movie. It's ammunition for us as a tool for evangelization, but we're the ones that have to launch it. We're the fuel. We're the ones that have to kind of get it out there. And us showing up with our tickets on opening weekend, it's like a vote to say this needs to keep going. This needs to sort of get seen. we're behind this, and that will allow for bigger audiences to find it after that opening weekend.
Amen, brother. I mean, that's exactly right. Like, and I mean, they demand that kind of turnout right off the bat, for good reason. They're just looking at past performance to be skeptics. Like, of course, they're going to be skeptical about another independent faith-based film. But this is why it's such a huge opportunity for all of us as a community, as a church, to send that message, because it moves the needle not just for this film but for future works in this space, when they say, wow, you know what, that Catholic film really performed, you know.
Hmm.
I had no idea there was such an appetite. Maybe I won't be so quick to slam the door on the next opportunity that gets thrown at our theater, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, all of this snowballs, when we show up strong for for an event like this, for an opportunity like this. And so thank you for this opportunity, Anthony. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I can't say thank you enough for your fiat to take on something like this. It could not have been an easy journey for you. There's just no way. You were already amidst personal suffering, and then the anguish. I mean, I can relate to an extent of the loneliness of spearheading something, that, all odds are against you. The funding isn't there. The investors wish you well, but aren't necessarily. Again, the skepticism is real, and a lot of that has to do from past performance. So it takes a huge leap of faith to even step in and give us an opportunity to move the needle with you. And if that's how you guys see it, like the way I see it, then let's show up, guys. I mean, truly. And if not, then just go see an incredible Catholic film that's going to leave you shaken in the best possible way. That's going to move your faith in the strongest possible way. Um, and so, I mean, with that, I'll open it up to a little bit of Q&A. I know you guys might be here with some particular questions that maybe we didn't answer yet. And anything else, Anthony, you want to throw in there too, please do.
Yeah, no, I would love to take questions. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole process here.
Yeah. So if any of you have any questions, we'll leave that open for just a couple of minutes. I know, you probably need to run. We went a little long, but I love it. I love it. I wanted to carve out this time to get to do this with you, to let people get to hear your story and hear how they can get involved.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I think one of the things that I'm really excited about with it is that um, I we took a lot of risks with this movie from a filmmaking perspective and a storytelling perspective. Everybody that we talked to when we were first starting and putting the script in front of people was like, you you can't bring the faith-based world out for a bunch of guys starving together in a cell. Like, and nobody's going to watch a movie about this. Nobody's going to show up to theaters about this. And heard that time and time and time and time and time again. But we knew that if we presented the story well, with this sort of craftsmanship of a a master painter in the Renaissance, that if we went into the grittiness and the darkness and the depth of it, um, because we knew that if we did that, that people would respond, because like our brand as Catholics is it's the crucifix. It's Christ crucified on the cross, right? It's not just a, uh, it's not just like the empty cross pointing to the resurrection. Like we feel instinctively like this world that we're living in, this stage of our journey is about living with Christ on the cross, and that's just reality. That's just the truth. And so when we see somebody who's doing that courageously, that shows us how to pick up our crosses, how to face our suffering, how to be courageous, I think it stirs something so deep in us that's like, yes, this is why I'm Catholic. This is who I'm meant to be. This is what I've been looking for as a model of heroism, and it just sort of captivates us. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we have a little question down here from uh, Jao Marcos. What other saint do you feel has interceded during this journey of filmmaking? Of course, I think Mary is like the number one. I don't know if maybe that's like a cop out, but Colby had a really important devotion to Mary, and Mary is like a very important part of the movie. Um, and it felt like her presence on our set and in our team was like she was the one that was there at the foot of the cross, you know, witnessing Christ's passion. And she was there at the foot of our crosses when we were working on this in a way that was really meaningful to us. Like she was there, her touch, her gentle love, her grief, even at watching us suffer through it, was a part of what got us through it. So, um, yeah.
Yeah, I saw Danny had asked if there are any other projects you have in your sights to work on. Maybe you've got too much tunnel vision right now to even think about that, but
Yeah, yeah. It's the problem with it is just that this is to articulate like how hard it is to do what we're doing. It's really like, yeah, it bears no repeating. It is so hard. We're taking on a Goliath, and it would be like, hey David, like what's the next Goliath that you're gonna take down? Like when
he's
he's
like
like right
still
about to
spinning the
like,
thing.
yeah,
He's
he's
like,
like
hold on,
spinning the sling. It's like, yeah, I kind of have
give
to
me a
like
minute.
get this one. If you guys would all be like helping me get this guy before you ask me that question, that would be awesome.
Well, and it kind of, David's story was pivotal on the the connecting of that stone, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if he had missed, he may have had a very different trajectory,
right.
or if it had been non-fatal, or you know what I mean. So I mean,
Yeah,
it does, and you're in every sense you're in this moment, locked into this moment to perhaps even secure what could come next, and that's
right.
that's where we all come in. I mean, that's why this is so important. I
Yeah,
want to
thank you
see
for
you
saying
make more films, Anthony. We
yeah.
have to do this selfishly. If you'll do this for me so that Anthony will make more films for me, and I guess the rest of you, then that'd be great.
And not just me. And honestly, like
Yeah,
it's
sure.
going to sort of, as soon as this hits, it's going to be a completely new threshold. Like it, I don't want to toot the horn of the movie. The movie is like, but it's way better than it should be, if that makes sense. It's way better than it should be, and it's not just because of my talent or something like that. And I feel totally comfortable and proud to say that it's amazing. And I think that what it's going to do is it's going to give permission to all of these different filmmakers and all the institutions that they need in order to like build the partnerships to sort of do this. Like all of the institutions in the Catholic Church they could have already started doing movies like this. But why have they not? Because it's so risky. Like
Mm.
it takes millions and millions and millions of dollars, and obviously like a huge public sort of display of guts to put something out there like this. And if they failed, which is what most movies do with their first thing, they could be sunk. And so for them, it's going to sort of give them that sense of, okay, like we can do this. Actually, it can be done. Like somebody has sort of shown a path for how it could be done, and it could actually be a really good thing for our organization. And they'll partner with a young filmmaker that's got a script that's in development who saw the movie and it's like, I could do this too, you know? And you're going to just see this flywheel beginning to turn in a way that I think within 5 years, you're going to see like instead of one movie that makes us proud every couple of years coming out, which I would say maybe even less than that has happened for us. I think it's going to be a torrent. I think there's going to be like 10 every year that are happening, and that are beautiful
Floodgates.
and amazing and really cool and really dignifying and all in different genres. But it all kind of comes down to this one point of, will we all show up to the theaters on these 2 days? That's the question. And if we can answer that question as a people with a unified voice, then we get to have that sort of renaissance that we've been thirsting for.
Amen. And all right, so to close out, there are a couple of people who have asked, how can they help? What other than social media? Are there any other avenues that we can do? Where do we go? What's the call to action? And what are those two dates?
Yeah, so that's September 11th, the Thursday. Really, we have some like vigil screenings, but really it's mostly the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. So the 12th is the Feast of the Holy Name of Mary, which I think is amazing. We didn't pick the day; the distributor picked it, but what better day to sort of start a movie about Kolbe screening than to like give it as a gift to Our Lady. And then the final day of the weekend on Sunday is the Feast of the Exaltation of the Cross, which is just kind of an unbelievable like you know
Anointed.
it's
Like
like
I
that's
said, this
yeah it's
thing is
so
anointed.
you couldn't make this stuff up. I did not even look at the dates. I had no idea that was happening. Like I was in an interview and this radio host asked me that and I just started crying. I was like, no, we didn't decide this, like God decided this.
Right. Much like pretty much every other step of this journey, brother.
Right.
I just I can't thank you enough for the risk you've shouldered
Yeah.
to help to help move the needle for the church. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Anthony, for who you are, the gift you are. Um, and I can't wait to see the film. So one last time, where's the like the one place they can go? Is it the website? Is that correct?
Yeah, triumphoftheheart.com. You can find the ticketing area there. Just scroll down a little bit. You'll see a place to put in your zip code, and you'll see the map of all the different screenings. So you can use either of those to find a screening near you.
And again, there's a really crucial window right now. Not we don't need to drag our feet and think we can just buy a ticket on September 10th or 11th and go. Like we have a really crucial time between now and
And
Friday,
Friday, yeah,
which is that August? What is that date? Because we need to
I think it's the
that date needs to stick
29th. Yeah.
because there's a really crucial cutoff there. There's
Hmm.
Friday the 29th. We really need to do our part to spread the word and secure as many theaters as we can by next Friday, August 29th.
Yeah, let's do it. I believe that we can do another 200 more this week. So let's uh let's overflow. Let's capsize our distributor's boat.
Come on, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Top each other's tanks off. If you need to go, top off somebody's theater to get it funded, just
Yeah,
go
yeah, I
play around
know.
on the map and,
Exactly.
share the love.
Indeed, indeed.
This is awesome,
Okay.
brother. I
Blessings,
can't
guys,
wait.
and thank you so much for for the support here. Eric, it's amazing to like to be supported by another entrepreneur that realizes the burden of doing something like this. And I'm grateful for the work that you've done to build a platform and to bring all these people together and facilitate these conversations. It's really important work.
Amen, brother. It takes a village. We're all just doing
Yeah.
our part, man. I'm just one
Amen.
guy. It's all of you guys spreading the word. So let's get it out there and make it happen.
Yeah, let's get it.
All right.
Okay.
Peace and love.
Blessings,
God
guys.
bless you. Thanks, everybody.